Authority. Today is Tuesday, July. Your chair for this evening. Mr. Macy, can you please verify our attendance?
OJ?
Here.
Rowe?
Here.
Montgomery?
Here.
Shelling?
Here.
Murray?
Here.
Griffin?
Here.
Chairbox.
Here, and welcome to our newest member, Mr. Matt Griffin. Item number 1 is consideration and appropriate action relating to a request for approval of the consent agenda. Would anyone like to motion for approval, or should we, yeah, let's just do that. Nothing there.
Move to approve.
Okay.
Second.
Good, we have a proper motion and a second on our consent agenda. Let's vote, please.
OJ?
Yes.
Rowe?
Yes.
Montgomery?
Yes.
Shelling?
Yes.
Murray?
Yes.
Griffin? Yes. Chairbox.
Yes, item 2 we will pull. We'll move on to item 3 is approve assignment and assumption of the lease for the Holiday Inn Express. We are on page 65 of our packet, and it looks like we are welcoming Mrs. Teresa Nowlin. Good evening, ma'am.
And Mr. Chair, if it's all right, I'll talk about items 3 and 4 together.
Yes.
They go together.
Sounds
I
fantastic.
think these are pretty straightforward. The Holiday Inn currently leases the property from the, well, subleases from the Jenks Aquarium Authority. The current owners of the Holiday Express are selling their business to a new entity. It's called CBM, I believe, Developments. I might have CBM, yes. And that will entail not only selling the business and its contents, but they will need to assign the lease to the new entity. So the first document is the assignment of that lease document and the assumption, which means that the buyer is taking on all the responsibilities of the original lessee under that, so they'll be responsible for paying rent to the JAA. The lease does require that the JAA approve any assignment. It does say which approval won't be unreasonably withheld, so we have a duty to approve it unless we see a significant problem with it. It's a very straightforward assignment agreement. And then the other agreement is a landlord subordination agreement. So generally in a lease, a landlord by law gets a lien on the contents in case the tenant doesn't comply. The lender for the buyer is asking us to subordinate our landlord's lien essentially on the fixtures and attachments within the building. And it's pretty standard in a credit transaction for us to do so. They are hoping to close on Thursday, so that is why we had to have a meeting tonight to approve these. They're eager, so that's the basic rundown
Okay.
on those.
Thank you, Mrs. Nolan. Any questions on number 3 from the
Did
members of the authority? Mr. Rowe.
Did they provide financial information? I mean, do we know anything about the new company?
I don't really know
Okay.
anything about the new company, no. I mean, I do know they've had to qualify for the financing through the bank, but beyond that, I don't know.
But the profit sharing clause
Stays the same,
continues, okay.
yes.
Did we have a similar subordination agreement to the previous tenant? Because I imagine they had a lender also.
I imagine they did. I have not seen one, though, in looking through the documents. That doesn't mean it was back in 2002, 2003.
No.
So that doesn't mean that one did not exist, but I have not seen it or recall seeing one in the minutes. Brandon, Robert, have you ever seen such a thing? Yeah, so they may
Okay.
not
Yeah,
have,
I would have
but that,
expected there would have been
yeah,
one
I
personally,
would
but-
expect to. It's pretty standard, but I can't say for
But we
absolute
don't
certain.
know anything about their financial wherewithal,
No,
okay, other than they can buy the property.
you're right. And Mr.
Okay.
Patel is not here to tell us about them.
They are a hotel operator, though.
Yes.
CBM.
1 property, 100 properties, 2.1? I'm just trying to get some kind of idea.
Probably 1.0.
Okay.
Maybe we're the first. Any other questions from members of the authority as it relates to item 3 or item 4? Yes,
Since I'm
yeah.
late to the, being on this board, what exactly was the lease agreement that originally?
So the most basic terms, so the JAA, of course, has a 99-year lease on the land from the OAF. And so the JAA subleases it, and the deal is that the hotel pays to the JAA. It's based on a sliding scale based on occupancy. So at 50% of occupancy, they pay 4%, 60%, they pay 4.5, 70% occupancy, they pay 5%. This is of their gross receipts. And at 75%, they pay 6%. Robert could probably tell us how they've been doing. I haven't, if you care to know.
Yeah, I would like
Recently.
to know how they've been doing.
I think it's
How long is the contract or the sublease agreed to?
the original lease is 50 years plus 2 optional 20-year renewals, so essentially a 90-year lease that started in 2002. So
Good evening, sir.
Chair, so for example, actually today we received the check for June, and the check was for $11,699.96, and they had an occupancy of 77.19%, so that put them in the 6% tier. So they remitted 6% of their room revenue, which was their room. Maybe I shouldn't say this out loud. I guess you can reverse divide. But yeah, 6% of their room revenue for that month is what was remitted to the JAA for the rent for that month. There have been months in the past where they failed to generate or achieve the 50% occupancy, so we've received nothing.
How often does that happen?
I have a spreadsheet going back. I think, of course, during COVID,
Let's just go back for this last year.
let's see. Mhm. 94. Leisure. So for the fiscal year that just ended, we received $68,000 in rent, $68,840. So they remitted, let's see, June, July, September, October, November, nothing for December, January, February, March, April, May, June. So it's maybe like 1 or 2 months out of the year that they failed to meet the 50% occupancy.
What's their average percentage?
Quick math, Robert, quick math.
You're,
Add it up, divide by
I'm trying.
12.
I'd say for the last 4 months, because that's the information that I can calculate on the spreadsheet, it's like 4.75%. Yeah. So when your lowest is 4 and your highest is 6, your average would be 5. Yeah.
so do we know what the new, we'll say company instead of owner, is looking at as far as what they anticipate?
Oh, I have no idea. I
Okay.
wasn't.
I think you do it.
I think we're just giving these documents to approve.
microphone isn't on.
Okay.
What information do they give you to show that they're,
I learned about this when I looked at the agenda.
I
That
mean,
it was on the agenda.
I'm talking about, what does the hotel give you to show
Oh.
that your, the percentage, do they just tell you, or do they?
No, they print out a report from their system that shows their transactions for that month summarized. So in that report, because not only as a hotel, not only do they have to pay JAA the rent, but they also have to remit the accommodations tax that they levied or that they charged on the rooms to the city of Jenks. So they submit the same report
Okay.
and 2 checks.
Okay.
One of them goes to the city, the other one goes to the JAA.
But it's the
And,
same report?
yeah.
Okay.
And I started this spreadsheet to kind of double check them, to double check their math to make sure that it was correct. Because like maybe a year or 2 ago, I found that the occupancy rate depending on the numbers that they were showing, was higher, so they did owe us. So there was a period of time where they owed us $19,000 in arrears, and I told them about it, we agreed that I was correct, and they paid that over 4 months, or over 4 pay period, 4 installments. Yeah, and that wrapped up like in fiscal year 22
Okay.
at the end.
And it may not be a question for you, but maybe for Janice or something, in situations like we recently had where some of the employees had to stay overnight to run back and forth because of power outages or generator, does the hotel give a discount? Do they give free rooms, or how does that work out?
Yes, they usually have a discount for employees when we can put them up there. If we had a visitor coming in from out of state that is like business related, I can call over and get a discount for that, but yes, they do offer the discount.
So they've been good about doing those kind of things? Okay, great, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Salcedo.
I guess I assume, I'm sorry, Mayor.
Yes, sir.
Chairman. I assume that the new company would do the same thing, or is that something that has to be in the lease? Or is that just a gentleman's agreement, or?
It's probably a good neighbor policy more than anything.
I think it was a gentleman's agreement. I don't think it's anything that's in the lease.
Yeah.
We probably need to strike up a relationship.
I was gonna say, that probably wouldn't be a bad idea. Make sure that,
We need our Ward 1 counselor to go over there and sweet-talk them and charm them and smile and,
And I'd be happy to ask for that contact info.
you got 2 weeks.
I think right now I have the lender, closing company, and Mr. Patel.
it's not a good idea to put something in, maybe.
All right, good questions. Any others for items number 3 or number 4? Okay, if there are none, we can entertain a motion for item number 3, please.
Motion
moved.
to approve?
Or second?
Thank you. We have a proper motion second. Let's vote, please.
OJ,
Yes.
Rowe,
Yes.
Montgomery,
Yes.
Shelling,
Yes.
Murray,
Yes,
Griffin. Yes. Chair Box.
Yes, item number 4, motion to approve the landlord subordination agreement.
Motion to approve?
Second?
Thank you both. Let's vote. Item number 4.
OJ,
Yes.
Rowe,
Yes.
Montgomery,
Yes.
Shelling,
Yes.
Murray,
yes.
Griffin. Yes. Chair Box.
Yes, moving on to our staff report. Anybody want to speak on behalf of Mr. Alexopoulos? All right.
I brought his report that he has.
Good evening.
Ready. The aquarium attendance is ahead of 2022, which is wonderful, but our revenue has far surpassed all of the prior years. Our new admission rates went into effect, and no more grumblings about cost than what we ever hear. We haven't seen an increase in complaints on the amount at all. I think they pretty much, if it's been several months since they've been here, they've kind of forgotten what they paid the last time. So it has gone smoothly. And the carousel now has netted $177,000 since October of 2022. We survived the power outage. It was a little stressful on staff and the animals, but the emergency generator did fail twice, causing us to manually have to reset and restart the system. But luckily, emergency power did restore both times whenever they did that. We were running backup power for approximately 36 hours, and the recurrence of the generator failing, as well as to add the extra layer of redundancy to our power supply. Once power was restored, we also opened up the aquarium as a cooling station for visitors that still didn't have power at home to come in and at least cool off and stay in the Great Hall. The formal plans for the pollinator garden have now been submitted and have been sent to one of 3 contractors for pricing. And we are contemplating which other companies might best fit our needs, at which time they will request their proposals as well. Boomfest was a huge success this year. It went very well. We had a lot of positive feedback. People coming said it was, people that were there said it was probably the best one that we've ever had. It did go very well. JPD and JPWA did an amazing job with traffic and helping out with all of the barricades and the street closings. And then Sharklahoma is well underway. We've got all of our activities. We've got our Jaws night is Thursday, and then we are out with our Bull Shark Rodeo Friday night at Maggie's Music Box. So everybody come out and participate with that. It'll be
What's
fun.
going on Friday night?
It's Bull Shark Rodeo. We're
At
gonna
Maggie's?
have our mechanical bull shark out. They're gonna close off
Oh.
a street right there next to it. And then they've got a band that'll be playing out there, and it will go for the evening, although the bull shark ride ends, I think we're shutting that down at 8:30. But, yeah. And then, you have to forgive me, I don't really know a lot about this one, but the Funbox Bounce Park will be setting up on our campus on a parcel adjoining the west side of our parking lot. And they will be renting the space and allowing us to provide concessions through ExpoServe, who currently is who operates our cafe. Employees will also get free admission to go for the Funbox Bounce. And let's see, the exact dates will be announced. We don't have those just yet. And okay. So you can tell Mr. Alexopoulos that I stepped into his place.
We usually always have a couple of questions for Kenny.
Okay,
So
you
it
go
wouldn't be
ahead.
not fair to do the same thing to you. Does anybody want to have a question? Mr. Rowe?
Yeah, and Janice, you may not be involved in this, but on the generators, do we test those every month or have a company come in and test them? Or?
We do have a company that comes out, and we do regular service on them, and they have the place where they get the fuel for them. I am not real certain how old they are, but I want to say they're around 20 years old.
Well, the one that they had trouble with was one of the newer ones.
Okay.
It was, and we didn't have to run the oldest one, which is the one at Shark Quarantine. The weird thing was we have two power feeders that come in. One of them was live, one of them wasn't. And I talked to Kenny, that's right, I know about it. And they're looking at, they realized we don't have a transfer switch between the two. And so they're looking into maybe some electrical upgrades that will give us a little more flexibility. And yeah, that was a little surprising, the one that we had some trouble with, but they're going to have it looked at.
Harvey, I think Chris said they turn them on once a month for 5 minutes, 10 minutes. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it probably not, in the end, probably not good enough to expect something to last that long. Yeah.
Yeah, I want to say this was the longest power outage that we had.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think we've ever run more than about 12 or 14 hours.
Was there any noticeable loss of life? Fish,
No.
of course.
They pulled it off. They were sweating it
Really?
there for a little bit, but once they got it in, they got it back up, and
Wow.
they didn't lose anything.
Not one little goldfish lost his life. Wow. That is-
Yeah.
Any other questions for?
I do think it's important that if the company's getting paid to come out and test, they ought to test, and if they have a problem with the way it's working,
But
make sure
Keith,
we know, because
we're
that
doing it
could be
internally
a
though, right?
insurmountable
I don't
cost.
think we contract that work
Yeah,
out.
not to come out
Yeah.
each month. I think they just
I think it's
start
done
'em.
internally, so, yeah. I think ultimately what Chris and Kenny decided is we need to determine if that's the best, if that's a good best practice to fire up your generator once a month for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, and maybe time to throw a little bit of budget at that to make sure it doesn't happen again.
Yeah, I also think, I also didn't hear that they knew why it cut out. And I think that's being looked into as near as I know.
Yeah.
I don't have one, but the experience I had with the people I had worked for, they had it set up through a company that it would come on once a week and would run for a certain length of time, and then they would come and check them twice a year on a contract. But I check the oil on them every week, So I don't know if it's something that they could set up to do at least a weekly or monthly, like the chairman said, but maybe have it set where somebody with the staff knows, okay, I need to go out there and listen to make sure it comes on at that time or something. It'd be worth looking into.
Keith, could you not hook them up to some SCADA system where, like, you know, every oil and gas business is, can we not remotely trigger routine maintenance or something like that? I mean, these generators aren't small.
Well, you know,
I mean, they
like
do it in the
most
oil
of the
field.
house generators you have, they actually, you know, the electronics in them, they come on usually once a month, run for a little period of time, and that kind of thing, and that's all just set up internally. Ones like this are a little bigger, so, you know, it's a little more complicated because of how much you generate too, and so what are you gonna do? So it's a fair question, and they need to look at it a little closer. Now that they've had this experience, and they've had this where we had one power line active and one dead, you know, they're also looking at, well, okay, if we put in a big enough transfer switch, if you lose one, you put in an automatic transfer switch, can we serve the entire aquarium off the one, or would we still need to run a generator? You know, those are the kinds of technical questions they're gonna have to work through.
Seems like everything else around has an app. I'm just wondering if this particular company or manufacturer has an app for it.
Well, that's what
Yeah, I don't know,
SCADA
but it'd be
systems
something
are.
to check.
Just on a high level, SCADA is, you know, what oil and gas giants use to.
Yeah, I mean, they've put in a bunch of different alarm systems, things like that. We don't typically, as a rule, at the aquarium, automate everything. Just because if you automate it, then people aren't looking at it as often. And, you know, I have seen some aquariums that it looked like the, you know, control room of a plant that I was managing. But the problem with that is, then you get a little more reliant on some of the equipment and not as reliant on the people doing a really good job and checking things as well. So it's pluses and minuses.
Yeah. All right, last call. Any other questions related to tonight's staff report? Thank you. While you're not there anymore. That's, Kenny would still be there talking about something. All right, very well then. If there's nothing left, it is 5:24. Thank you for being here. We are adjourned. And welcome to Jenks. It's a regularly scheduled meeting of the Jenks City Council. Today is Tuesday, July 18th of 2023. The time is 6 p.m. My name is Corey Box. I'll be your chair for this evening. And to my left is Mr. Macy, and he will verify our attendance.
Klein. Present. Short.
Here.
Ogier.
Here.
Schilling. Here. Murray. Here. Mayor Box.
Here, thank you very much. We will begin the evening with prayer, and we welcome back Pastor Tommy Davis. How are you tonight, sir? You bringing your better small half?
Yes, sir.
All right.
Son dealing with me tonight.
All right.
Like he was with me the last time. I prayed for you.
All right.
So I have my son Dylan with me tonight. All right. Thank you so much for the privilege of praying on tonight. Father, we thank you for allowing us to gather tonight. We thank you for our city. God, you've blessed us with such a wonderful and amazing city. And we thank you, God, for allowing us to be able to call this place home, be able to call this place where we work, where we live. And God, we thank you for what you've done in bringing us to this place. Oh, God, we thank you for the city of Jenks. Thank you for the mayor. Thank you for every city leader. We give you praise, oh, God, for them. Thank you for the vision that you've given to them for the city of Jenks. Again, God, we thank you for that vision and thank you for what you're doing through them for the betterment of this city. God, we ask for blessings on this meeting tonight. May it be all that you would have it to be. Guide them as they guide us. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Thank you, Pastor. Have a good evening, Dylan. Thank you. Please join me in our Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Okay, it's good to see Mr. Fred back for tonight's Animal Welfare Spotlight. How are you doing, Mr. Reed?
Tonight I want to introduce Falcon. Falcon is obviously a little pit bull mix. The vet estimates he's about 8 months old. He is the sweetest, most affectionate guy. If you could see him kissing on Katie and Chief Jackson back there. He likes other dogs. He's all vaccinated and heartworm negative, and we will get him neutered upon adoption. And something new we're even offering, we'll even put a microchip in him.
Mm-hmm.
So if anybody is interested in meeting Falcon or any of his adoptable friends, they can always reach us at animalcontrol@jenksok.org or the police department non-emergency number 918-299-6311.
Who named him?
We have a alphabetical list, kind of like they do with hurricanes.
Okay.
They,
I think he likes
I think he likes
Teresa. If not, I think he's taken to the back row back there. People. Thank you, sir. Have a good evening, Mr. Reed. All right, we're at the point citizens' comments, public comments, as we sometimes say. If you are a member of our public and you'd like a moment to share some thoughts with the city council, you're welcome to do so at this point. Please ensure that it is not an item that is currently not on tonight's agenda. And if you don't mind, we will limit you to 3 minutes. Okay, going once. Going twice, going 3 times. Very well, we will close the floor to citizens' comments. Moving on to item number 1. Oh, excuse me, actually I wanted to make a comment. There's a petition going around the city of Jenks, and for those of you that have asked, if you have a desire to have your name removed from that petition, the process that we have in place is you need to email the city clerk of Jenks. It's this gentleman right here. Email address is bmacy, Bravo, Mike, Alpha, Charlie, Yankee, BMACY @jenksok.org. We will gather a list and simply present that list to the representative attorney when the time comes. For those of you that have asked the question for clarification, the only need or purpose of signing that petition is if you are against the baseball park project, and that is pretty much it. If you have any questions about that project, you are welcome to call your city councilor, you can call your city manager, or you can call me. My number is 918-857-9922, and I'll be happy to discuss that with you. Thank you very much. We're moving on to item number 1. Disregard. We have a proclamation. Thank you, Mr. Macy. This is a City of Jenks, Oklahoma proclamation to recognize our Jenks Public Works Authority employee, and this is a small token of our appreciation. So allow me to read this, and we will present this to Mr. Parsons on behalf of Public Works. Whereas the storm that occurred during the morning of June 18th of 2023 caused a significant amount of damage due to high winds, and the Jenks Public Works Authority employees worked around the clock to clean up the debris left behind, responding immediately after the storm to start clearing roadways, waterways, and rights-of-ways. And they established a free storm disposal site for residents and businesses, manning it for 2 weeks in extreme temperatures. And they found generators for all lift stations and manually pumped each station for days to ensure sewer water would not contaminate other water sources or back up into homes or businesses. And they worked alongside PSO to assist in any way possible to restore power to Jenks residents and businesses, including putting up and taking down barricades, directing traffic, establishing locates and lines, and helping PSO access specific areas in Jenks. And they assisted the Oklahoma Aquarium with their generator maintenance to ensure aquarium staff could focus on the well-being and safety of their animals. Therefore, I, Corey Box, Mayor of the City of Jenks, and this Jenks City Council, along with the City of Jenks, to hereby wish to recognize the Jenks Public Works Authority employees for their hard work and dedication to the city during this challenging time. Either tomorrow or Friday, I'd like to come by and say hi to the folks, okay? We can make that happen. So probably best to do it in their office than our office. But tell them, please, from all of us, and frankly, probably from all of them, really appreciate it. If you guys don't know, a Jenks Public Works Authority employee typically is wearing a extremely bright yellow, what other, orange, any other colors? Chartreuse, what is that? That's a color, it's a green and yellow. Okay, so they're wearing a slightly green or yellow shirt or a bright yellow shirt. Frankly, they typically look tired and they have a dirty shirt, but it would be really nice if you see one, pat them on the back. If you get a chance, beat them to the front of the line and buy them a cup of coffee or a water. They'd be greatly appreciated. These are the people that, when we talk about a great city, if you really extrapolate it all the way down to that lowest common denominator, the things that we appreciate, it's the fact that after that storm, I talked to other mayors and city managers, and we went way above and beyond keeping that thing open for 2 weeks. And I hope all of you that had a chance to visit the dump site had the same good experience that I did. And that guy didn't even know who I was, and I had a wonderful experience. I caught somebody doing the right thing, and we'll have a chance to recognize him tomorrow or later this week. So on behalf of that, thank you. This is Mr. Parsons. He's the director of Jenks Public Works, and we appreciate you being here. Thank you, Mr. Macy, keeping me on track. We are back to item number 1, which is consideration of appropriate action relating to tonight's consent agenda. If anyone would like to pull one of the items, you may, or not, we can approve it as is.
Make a motion to approve as presented.
Second.
Thank you both. We have a proper motion and a second for item 1. Let's vote, please.
Klein?
Yes.
Short?
Yes.
OJ?
Yes.
Shelling,
Yes.
Murray. Yes. Mayor Box.
Yes, item 2 we will pull. We're going to deviate very quickly. We're going to skip item 3. It won't take just a moment. We're going to move on to item number 7. Ordinance number 1619 related to Jenks zoning JZ 23 PUD 141. A request by Chris Chalice for a zone change from agriculture to commercial general to commercial shopping, and for a planned unit development to allow for mixed-use development, the general location being west of Highway 75 and north of 121st Street. We would be on page 185 in our packets if you're following along. At this point, we're going to go ahead and make the recommendation that this item be continued. So if someone would like to do that.
Per staff request, I recommend that we send it back to the planning commission for final review.
Okay, you mind
Second.
using the word motion in your verbiage there, if you don't mind?
Oh, I move that we recommend to throw it back to the planning commission for final review.
Second.
Thank you. We have a proper motion and a second on the continuance of item number 7. Let's vote, please.
Klein,
Yes.
Short,
Yes.
OJ,
Yes.
Shelling,
Yes.
Murray. Yes. Mayor Box.
Yes, thank you very much. Moving back to item number 3 is the appointment of Greg Nixon, to the Jenks Planning Commission for a term ending on May 1st of 2024. We welcome Mrs. Hilton. Do you want to introduce Mr. Nixon? Then we will put him through this significant hazing process.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, council, and staff. We are bringing to you tonight an appointment recommendation by the mayor, and staff has spoken with Mr. Nixon at great length for the Planning Commission seat, which was recently vacated by Mr. Jeff Byer. So if appointed, Mr. Nixon would serve the uncompleted term vacated by Jeff Byer. So that term would end in May 1, 2024. So that being said, Mr. Nixon's resume is included. Or was it not included? Well, shoot. I thought it was included. It may not have been. But we highly recommend him, and he is available to answer questions if you have any.
So we don't have the resume?
I thought it was in there.
Okay.
I don't see it.
Shame, shame.
I know.
All right. Very well. We could, at this point, ask Mr. Nixon to come forward. We're going to ask him to recite his resume in under 2 minutes. If you can't do that, then that's first demerit for you, sir. Good evening. If we could have your name and address, please.
Good evening. I'm Greg Nixon. I reside at 10416 South Nathan Street here in Jenks.
So tell us a little bit about your background, because I don't think a few of us have met you over the last year or so, but give us a quick overview of the Rockwall experience and anything else.
Okay.
Great.
Very good. Thank you, Mayor Box. Well,
Absolutely.
my background, I've been full-time economic development in Oklahoma for 11 years and 3 years in the state of Texas. That really pertains mostly to this. 11 years of that was spent at Public Service Company as the economic development consultant there, and then from there I went to City of Muskogee, headed up their EDC for 2 years, and from there I went to Texas for the City of Rockwall. The times that I spent in Oklahoma, spent a lot of time in and around the Tulsa area, northeastern Oklahoma. Spent a lot of time working around Jenks in the developments and things going on here. I won't give you exactly the dates, but I'll give you a hint. Randy Ewing was city manager, and Whirlpool was new, if that goes back anywhere. But I've had the opportunity to work in a lot of small communities, had an opportunity to work in a lot of large communities. And the city of Rockwall is a community not unlike Jenks in a lot of ways, because it was high growth. It was located in the smallest county in the United States, and had and is the fastest growing county in the state of Texas at the time. When we moved there was a city of 22,000 people. It was a community that did not want growth, and it was positioned itself to be a bedroom community to Dallas, and that was just fine. What we didn't know at the time was there were 250,000 people headed toward Rockwall, and we were faced with the dilemma of not having a place for them to live and no roads for them to drive on and no schools for their children to go to. And so that was our challenge. And it's, you know, it was a destination city too, a little bit different than the way Jenks has positioned itself. But we had to address that and start the process. And during the time that I was there, the city doubled in size. And we added 2 four-year high schools. We built a bypass. We completed 88 acres of the technology park for light manufacturing. We also changed the dynamics and the direction of the roads in the central business district. Just a lot of things going on to try to be prepared for that. So, you know, Jenks has a lot of characteristics similar to that. But whether it's a small community in southwestern Oklahoma, or if it's here, or if it's in Texas, the key to the success on all that really is the component of planning, so that you prepared, so that you can control and manage the growth as much as possible. Because uncontrolled growth is chaos, and you'll find yourself in a community you don't want to live in anymore. So it was really an honor to be considered for this position with the Planning Commission. An opportunity to give back to the city.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Nixon. Would anyone in council like to take an opportunity to ask a question? If you'd like, you can do that now. Anyone on my right? If so, just light the mic and we'll be underway.
Do you?
Councilor Murray.
Oh, I'm sorry. I assume you have family with you. Did you want to introduce them by chance?
I'd be happy to.
Let's wait. Let's make you. We got to earn this first.
Oh, okay. You're gonna make them sweat. Okay, good.
Well, I mean, I don't know. I don't know how Councilor Murray feels about you. To be honest with you. I mean, this may not go your way.
Yeah, that's good.
I think we should, for official sake, let's party after we close the deal.
Okay.
I would agree, though. What attracted me to Mr. Nixon is, frankly, I've been to Rockwall. I almost had a career there, and it reminds me a lot of Jenks, just like he said. Small place. Nobody wanted it to change. They've got a beautiful body of water there, and guess what? When you live in Dallas and you want to leave, you go to the biggest lake you can find. And all of the big lakes around Dallas are extremely overpopulated. So you go, 45 minutes outside?
About that.
Right on the interstate.
Mm-hmm.
Perfect place to live. Maybe it's not now, but still. He was a part of that growth. Call it responsible growth, call it measured, call it what you want. Apart from obviously having the expertise, he's got 2 things. He's willing and able, and that's not always available right now when it comes to volunteer service. So, yeah, some people in the front row might know. So if there's no questions for Mr. Klein, do you want to throw one?
Yeah, maybe I missed it. What's your current line of work? Because maybe not for us, but definitely a lot of our citizens are always worried about, conflict of interest and things like that.
Sure.
So.
Currently, I work for Alert 360 Security. Most of you probably knew it as Guardian forever when it was Home Security. It's headquartered here in Tulsa, part of their inside sales team. And so we do telephone sales for commercial and residential security.
Okay, thank you.
His big problem is he's got an MBA, so he's overqualified and overeducated, so we're lucky to have him. Well, here's my recommendation. I would appreciate you guys if you would consider the same, but what we need to do now is we need to make a motion to consider him for this vacancy and then welcome him to the Jenks Planning Commission.
Recommend to approve.
Second.
Very well, we have a proper motion and a second on recommendation to fill this vacancy. Let's vote, please.
Klein?
Yes.
Short?
Yes.
Ogier?
Yes.
Schelling?
Yes.
Murray? Yes. Mayor Box?
Yes, congratulations, sir, and if you don't mind, let's get your family up here.
Be happy to.
We can get a picture with your new boss right here.
Say, yeah.
You have one of
Okay.
your coworkers here, and
Okay.
maybe I'll grab one with you too.
This is my wife Angela, and this is my youngest daughter Reagan, and they're here with us. So,
I don't know where Katie is.
where do you want us, over there or over right here?
Thank you. Hi, Corey. Reagan. I love that name.
Right.
I wanted you to be here. You're the one he's going to war with, not me.
I'm technically his employee. I do
That's right, I have
the
that all.
service of the planning commission.
I know you were looking for Katie, I saw that.
Thank you.
Very good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
too well.
Okay, we're moving on to item number 4 of tonight's agenda is Resolution 806, which is declaring a vacancy for the Jenks City Council, currently in Ward 2. I don't know if there's anything on page 175, but Mrs. Nolan, do you have anything you'd like to say as we address this? Or I can read it for you if you'd like.
You are welcome to, or I can
Well,
give a short synopsis here.
Sure, let's go ahead and,
All right. We did present Resolution 806, which accomplishes 2 things. As you're aware, Counselor Isbell resigned effective June 30th, so legally we need to recognize that there is a vacancy. It's kind of a due process thing. Sometimes vacancies aren't as clear-cut as a clear-cut resignation, so this finds that there is a vacancy, and then it establishes a recommended process that the City Council will accept letters of interest and resumes until next Friday, July 28th at 5 p.m. And then on the August 1st meeting, you will consider who to appoint to the next, and that person will be appointed until the next general election.
very well. Any questions from council?
So the next general election for this ward will be in 2025?
I think they actually get appointed until the very next general election. That person would get elected just to fulfill the remaining term. So in a year and a half, this seat would get filled, but only for a 2-year term.
Okay.
So essentially what happens is we'll have 5 members in that potentially elected that year. We typically are on a 4-3 schedule. Now it'll be 5-2. Yeah, interesting. Okay. Any other questions from Mrs. Nolan? All right, very well. We'll close the floor then. Let's go ahead and have a motion on Resolution 806, please.
Make a motion to approve as presented.
Second.
Thank you both. We have a proper motion and a second to approve item 4, Resolution 806. Mr.
Klein.
Macy.
Yes. Short.
Yes.
OJ.
Yes.
Schilling.
Yes.
Murray.
Yes.
Mayor Box.
Yes, thank you. Item number 5 is ordinance number 1618 related to JZ 23-686, rezoning a tract of land from agriculture to commercial shopping at the general location of 9300 South Union Avenue. We're on page 176 if you have one, and we welcome back Mrs. Hilton.
Thank you, Mayor Box, council, and staff. This is a request to rezone a piece of property from ag to commercial shopping. The Planning Commission first continued the item. It was heard on May 18th. It came back June 22nd. During that time, the owners agreed to rezone only the first 300 feet of the lot. So that matches what's on the south, and the north property had 500 feet, but it was a good compromise, and Planning Commission did approve it with 6-0 being 1 seat short in attendance that evening, and there were no other comments. We had a few comments going into the Planning Commission hearing when we initially made the public notice, but no new comments were provided once the rezoning changed to just the first 300 feet. With that being said, the applicant is not present this evening, but staff does recommend approval of JZ 23686.
Thank you, Mrs. Hilton. Any questions from council on my right? Any questions on my left? Very well, we'll close the floor to council. Any questions? We can open the floor to the public. If anyone from the public would like to speak on behalf of item number 5, ordinance number 1618, you're welcome to do so. Okay, very well. No public comment. The floor is closed. Item number 5. Let's have a motion, please.
Motion to approve?
Second.
Thank you both. We have a proper motion and second for ordinance number 1618. Mr. Macy.
Klein. Yes. Short.
Yes.
OJ.
Yes.
Schilling.
Yes.
Murray.
Yes.
Mayor Box.
Yes. Item number 6 is the emergency clause for ordinance number 1618.
Motion to approve?
Second.
Thank you both. Mr. Macy.
Klein. Yes. Short.
Yes.
OJ.
Yes.
Schilling.
Yes.
Murray.
Yes.
Mayor Box.
Yes, thank you. Item 7 we've covered. Moving on to item 8.
No.
Oops, excuse me. We've done that. Okay, moving on to item 9. I should put my glasses back on. Potential executive session for purposes of conferring on matters pertaining to an economic development, to economic development, including the transfer of property or the creation of a proposal to entice a business to locate within the city of Jenks where public disclosure of the matter discussed would interfere with the development of products or services or would violate the confidentiality of the business. We're going to be talking in executive session about an area in the downtown core near Main Street and First Street. Can we have a motion for entrance into executive session?
Make a motion to enter executive session.
Second.
Thank you, gentlemen. We have a proper motion and a second. Item 9, let's vote, please.
Klein? Yes. Short?
Yes.
OJ?
Yes.
Shelling?
Yes.
Murray?
Yes.
Mayor Box?
Thank you very much. Yes, we will be back shortly.
26.
Council has returned from executive session at 7:46 PM. No votes were cast. We are moving on to item number 10. It's a memorandum of understanding between the City of Jenks and Camp Pickle Jenks Unit Co., LLC, relating to economic development on the Tulsa Premium Outlets plat. We are on page 213 of our agenda, and we welcome back Mrs. Nolan.
Mayor, members of council, this agreement is called a memorandum of understanding because it's essentially a more general agreement that is contemplating future, more specific agreements. To give a little bit of background, for Public Camp Pickle is under contract with the Tulsa Premium Outlet Simon to go on an out parcel with Simon. But Camp Pickle is seeking $4 million in TIF funding. Currently, those out parcels are designated as part of Simon's TIF agreement, so the TIF proceeds of those are pledged to Simon. Discussions have been occurring with Simon that Simon is willing to either release that property to allow Camp Pickle to get their own incentive, or that Simon, and this is what Simon at this time is leaning towards, that their incentive would be folded in with Simon, and that in the future we would come to you with an amendment to Simon's TIF agreement and ask for an additional $4 million that will then go to Camp Pickle, and then Camp Pickle and Simon would have their own agreement, a sub-agreement as to how that would work. Those details are still being worked out between them as well as Simon getting their internal approvals, but you will see an additional agreement down the road, one way or the other, either, and well, no matter what, you're going to see an amendment to the Simon agreement and either an incentive agreement with Camp Pickle, along with possibly some financing. The city would not be directly providing the financing, but the city in this agreement is agreeing to assist Camp Pickle, if needed, in obtaining financing where they pledge their TIF proceeds. If they work through Simon, that may not be necessary, but essentially, the commitment here is that we will commit $4 million in TIF revenue to the Camp Pickle project, one way or the other, and that we will be willing to assist them in whatever they need to do. If there is financing, it's non-recourse to the city would just be working as a conduit, essentially, to pledge those TIF proceeds. Camp Pickle's attorney is here, I believe. I saw you walk back in. If you have any questions for them, but that's really the gist of it.
Okay, thank you, Mrs. Nolan. Does the representative from Camp Pickle wish to speak? You can if you'd like. If not, happy to answer any questions I can. All right. First, any questions from council for Mrs. Nolan?
Do we have a sense of what the total project cost is?
Yeah, I was going to ask that. They told us in the last executive session from a month or two ago, but if you don't remember, then we can see if he recalls.
Do you know the total project cost? So as to say, we have some recitals, but it talks about the size, jobs.
There's not much, nothing on the
As
project
a
cost.
percentage of the total project cost, yeah.
Mayor and council, good evening.
Good evening.
The section 1 of the memorandum of understanding recites that the construction of the restaurant will result in an investment of approximately 15 to 20 million, which is pretty good for a restaurant. That's a nice restaurant, and I'm sure you all recall when you met with the Camp Pickle representative a few weeks back that this is more than just a single facility. They have a number of pickleball courts and some other ancillary development that goes along with it. So.
Can we have your name for the record, sir?
Yes, I'm sorry. My name is Dan McMahon, McMahan, with the firm of Riggs Abney in Tulsa.
And my apologies. I think one of the reasons why we didn't see the number is because usually there's a bunch of zeros, and you guys just put a 1 and a 5 and a 20, and I just saw $15, and that was that's a significant error on our part. I'm glad to give you $15 tonight, or even 20.
I think that's poor marketing on our part.
It's pretty damn good marketing because it's slipped right by. Any other questions from council? I think we've seen this before. It was maybe a month or two ago, but any questions for Mr. McNahan? All right, very well. Thank you, sir. Appreciate your time. Okay, we are on our last item number 10, last call for questions for council. If not, I would like to entertain a motion.
Motion to approve.
Thank you, ma'am. We have a, pardon me?
Can I have a discussion real quick?
Yes.
$4 million, that represents the infrastructure piece, the water sewer connection, is that correct, Mr. Carr? I mean, is that what the idea is for the 4 million?
It would be the public infrastructure, yes.
Yeah.
Right, but so the 4 millions represents the infrastructure cost of the 15 to 20 million, correct? Round math.
I would assume so.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, that's typically the only reimbursable expense is a hard,
That's what I
fixed
wanted-
infrastructure cost
I
for
just
the
wanna make
public
that
good. Yeah.
Known, that this
Yeah.
is for, the 4 million is for public infrastructure. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Good question. Any other questions? Very well. We had a proper motion and a second on item 10, Mr. Macy.
Klein? Yes. Short?
Yes.
OJ?
Yes.
Schilling?
Yes.
Murray?
Yes.
Mayor Box?
Yes, thank you. We're moving on to other business. Item number 1, the city manager's report. Mr. Carr.
The assistant city manager has no city manager's report.
Thank you. You didn't leave one, huh?
No.
All right. Did, Mayor OJ, did you go to INCOG? You don't want to tell us about all the exciting things happening with the air quality index?
Actually, I will, send you guys an update,
Okay.
because I had it, I typed it out, and I left it.
I gotta tell you, I think Mr. Isbell does a fantastic job, but you're really falling down on.
But I was substituting for you.
I think I had another meeting that day.
I didn't get the agenda till I got
All right, well, in the spirit of saving everyone's time, there is no mayor's report either. The mayor was busy. Okay, if there's nothing else, last call for council. Questions, comments? Royal, if not, the time is 7:53. City council meeting is adjourned. Okay. Public Works Authority. It's still Tuesday, July 18th, 2023. It is roughly 7:55 p.m. Mr. Macy, can you please verify our attendance again?
Klein? Present. Short?
Here.
OJ?
Here.
Schilling? Here. Murray? Here. Chair Box?
Here, thank you. Item number 1 is the consideration of appropriate action relating to tonight's consent agenda. Any questions about A through D? If not, can make a motion to approve, please.
Make a motion to approve as presented.
Second.
Thank you both. We have a proper motion, a second on item 1. Let's vote, please.
Klein? Yes. Short?
Yes.
OJ?
Yes.
Schilling?
Yes.
Murray? Yes. Chair Box?
Yes, thank you. Chamber,
No chamber.
no chamber, no general manager's report. Very well. It is 7:55. The Jenks Public Works Authority meeting is adjourned. Can somebody do me a favor and we have a JEDA?
Yes.
I don't seem to have that. Thank you very much.
Should just be stapled.
Oh, yeah, probably demarked it. Okay, moving on to tonight's special meeting of the Jenks Economic Development Authority. Mr. Macy, roll call, please.
Klein? Present. Short?
Here.
OJ?
Here.
Schilling?
Here.
Murray? Here. Mayor Box?
Here, item number 1 is consideration and appropriate action for tonight's consent agenda of the Jenks Economic Development Authority.
Motion to approve?
Second.
Thank you very much. We have a
Real
motion and a
quick,
second.
I'd like
Yes,
just a
sir.
quick discussion. I want to just say how excited I am. I think everyone on council is that we're actually having Jenks Economic Development Authority conversations now. I think this is really going to be exciting in the next 6 to 12 months, so thank you.
Yes, sir, agree wholeheartedly. I believe we had a motion and a second on item 1.
Klein? Yes. Short?
Yes.
OJ?
Yes.
Schilling?
Yes.
Murray? Yes. Chairbox?
Yes. Any other business? All right, 7:56 PM, we are adjourned.